I vote on at NBA TV until noon
Matt?
on
Did you
Friday.
vote?
No, not yet. Give me a chance. I'm here doing the segment now. When do you want me to vote?
My bad.
I don't have a device on me. Give me a
Okay.
chance.
You don't have your phone. I'm sorry.
No. After the segment, I'll go and vote. Who you got?
This is difficult because I think you run into the argument of what defines athleticism. Is it explosive, get off the floor,
Right.
ability?
We're here to overthink this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're gonna take this to the deep end of the pool here.
Right.
But I got to be honest with you. As explosive as Russ is, and as marvelous as LeBron's athleticism has been for so long, Giannis is the largest guy in this category in terms of a graceful athlete.
Freakish, you might say.
To me, well, he's been
Freakish.
called something like that. But to me, a lot of it is about how efficient are you with the ball underneath you and with the game underneath you in terms of can you get up and down the floor at your size and dominate in all the different ways that he has shown us he can this year. When you're that height, when you're 7 feet tall basically, and 14 feet long from fingertip to fingertip or whatever, that to me connotates a certain type of athleticism that the average man can't muster.
Sure.
Russ, to me, is the most explosive by position in the entire league. You talk about a guy, a furious athleticism that can overwhelm people. LeBron is probably the most well-rounded, but the best and the one with the highest ceiling in this category to me is Giannis.
I'm going to go with the old head in LeBron. And part of it is most athletic. I've never seen a guy in the 16th season this athletic that can still do the things that he does. And part of being a great athlete is your ability to utilize that athletic ability with your mind. And I don't know that we've ever seen as good a combination of athletic prowess and intellectual understanding and capacity of how to play the game as LeBron. So I would go with him in that category for that. Now, Giannis is freakish, as is Westbrook. But I just think, too, being a great athlete, we're in the business of winning. He's won the most.
That's absolutely true.
I think that does, because you can have all that ability in the world, but if you're not getting to a level where that athletic ability says you should get to, then that, to me, gets discounted a little bit.
Well, to me, that gets into a different category of just overall players, not just athlete, which is the question.
Well, these are three athletes.
They are three great athletes. To me, of the three at this moment in time, I'm going with Russell Westbrook, who is as freakish as anybody in the league.
Yes,
and when you think of explosion, and that's often what people kind of default to when they think of athleticism, there's just nobody as explosive. That dunk last night at the end of the game against Portland, that was absurd, and you saw people getting out of the way. This guy could have been an NFL safety. He could have been who knows what else.
Maybe a defensive end.
In pro sports, I mean, strong safety.
But to me, that's always been the dilemma about athleticism. Is it,
right, what is that?
Yeah, what does it entail? Like, is the guy who would be the most versatile of these guys? Because I think LeBron clearly could have been a professional in several different
disciplines. Sure, lots of things, yeah.
So you think about that, but man, could you imagine Giannis or Russell Westbrook playing volleyball? Or playing another sport where they could use.
I can't go volleyball.
Talents.
There ain't that much money in it. I don't think they would have went.
But they could have dominated.
I don't mean just how much money you could get.
I'm just teasing.
But I mean, you think about that, the versatility of your athleticism, and then instinctual athleticism. Like LeBron, to me, is off the charts when it comes to athletic instincts. I don't remember a guy, maybe since Michael Jordan, being that instinctual with his athleticism in terms of timing and knowing how to, make plays on both ends of the floor all over the court the way LeBron does.
And if you want to include longevity, reliability, he goes into that. I know he's hurt right now, but he goes into that category as well. That's always been one of my arguments for Kareem as the greatest of all time.
Yep.
Guy played into his 40s. He was unbelievable all that time.
There's no question.
And started.
All right, vote on NBA TV. Again, Isaiah and the old school guys will tell you they had him at the top of the scouting report deep into his 30s.
Yeah.
Crunch time coming up at 9 Eastern time. All the big finishes from a big Wednesday night.
Play deep three. Up one hand slam. Finger rolls it up and in. Eat check. That was just sick. Listen to the crowd roar from Klay Thompson.
4 years ago tonight, Klay Thompson set an NBA record with 37 points in a quarter the third quarter to be exact, in a Warriors win over Sacramento. He was 13 of 13 for the quarter, 9 of 9 from three-point range. He had a couple of free throws without missing as well. Perfect quarter for Klay Thompson, who only had 52 that night and asked out of the game with like 9 minutes left because they were up by 30. So that made us wonder, who are the greatest streak shooters of all time? Thompson's got to be on that list, but for you guys, who are the greatest streak shooters you've seen?
Man, that's a great question. A guy that automatically comes to mind for me is Gilbert Arenas. He had some moments where he would light it up, and I mean, he would go at the other best players in the league. I mean, I'll never forget he and Kobe, you know, him taking that challenge to fill it up in Kobe's face one night. But Arenas was, to me, ahead of his time, GA, when you think about a volume three-point shooter before the volume shooting three-point era. He got labeled a gunner, but he was an awesome scorer and an unbelievable streak shooter, guy that could get hot and absolutely blow the roof off the building.
Agent Zero.
Oh gosh, I miss some of his crazy exploits. It was good stuff.
There was a lot of crazy there. It was fun for the most part.
And really, it's hard to say who's the greatest because all those guys.
Sure.
I mean, we had some other guys that we were talking about. Ricky Pierce, Dale Ellis. These are guys that were just lights out shooters. The rifleman, Chuck Person. But for me, one of the guys that stood out for me personally was Mahmoud Rauf. I mean, a.k.a. Chris Jackson, back when we played against each other in college. I mean, he, off the dribble, shot the basketball as well as anybody I had ever played against. I mean, his crossover and ability to freeze you and pull. Now, he wasn't a guy that shot it with the range of some of those guys, but in part, I think, because that was the era. You know, you saw more of the great shooters, the Hornaceks, the Jeff Malones. Those guys were mid-range shooters more so than the long three-point shooters that we see today. But, man, they could get it going. And, again, once they get in that zone, it didn't matter how good you defended them. If they could get it off, it was more than likely going in.
Somebody came up with Chuck Person.
The rifleman.
No doubt.
I just thought of Rashawn Leonard.
Yeah.
He could get it going.
And do guys like Ray Allen and Reggie Miller count?
They were just really good shooters.
I mean, they were great shooters,
but see, my
were
thing was these guys were all like, none of these guys are streak shooters.
Right.
Now, the difference is they're always great shooters. Their streaks just go to another level. I mean, it's not fair to call them streak. They were great shooters.
I think
there's no doubt about it.
But you know what?
Yeah, it is. Like, because you always say, oh, he's streaky. Well, that means he's inconsistent. No, these guys were, just like Klay is not an inconsistent shooter.
Right.
He just has those stretches where he does, like what he did. We'd never seen anybody make 10 consecutive threes in an actual game.
Right.
You know, before.
Just the other night, yeah.
And so he's done things like that just take it to a whole nother level. But these are some guys in that era, you felt the same way about them that you feel about the great shooters today. They just shoot with more range today. And I think they shoot it in different ways that you didn't get back in those eras. And again, all great shooters, though. But today, what you're seeing with Steph and Klay in particular, and James Harden, I mean, we didn't see guys. First of all, when you shot a three in our era, your toes, they had to check to see if you were touching the line every time you shot because everybody was going forward. Nobody ever went away from the three-point line to get threes off the way you see guys doing that. It's incredible the range that these guys have, the confidence that they play with. I'd never seen it. Steph Curry and Klay, for me, where they shoot shots from, where they shoot from. I remember one time, when Steph hit those shots against OKC a couple seasons ago?
Pull up.
We did a demonstration here on the floor, and we put the marks down where he shot those shots. And I remember standing on one of them. It was about 38 feet from the basket, and I was saying to myself, damn, would I throw this to get it there? Because I couldn't shoot this as a shot to get it there because most shots from that distance were heaves. These guys shoot them with rhythm. It's incredible.
And there's a whole generation of kids growing up with that as a part of their game, which, for better or worse, there's a great debate about whether or not this is good for basketball. But now it's commonplace. You got guys taking shots from those distances at the NBA level and all the way down. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of shooters develop in these next couple of generations following the lead of guys like Klay and Steph.
You know, the indigenous people in Alaska have 1,000 different words for snow, I think it is. There should be like at least 100 different words for Klay Thompson hot. Like different varieties of Klay Thompson.
Whatever it is,
he needs his own emoji. That's what it is.
All right, more to get to here. Checking in on the Pacers. This could be a horrible blow for the Pacers and for their certainly for their not that they're likely to fall out of the postseason, but for what damage they could do in the postseason if they stick around.
Well, and you have no idea what the
Sure.
injury is until you know the severity of it.
Right.
But you talk about a team that really held the line when he was out, but that was asking him to do it knowing he was on his way back at some point. If you're talking about over the course of the rest of the season and into the postseason, I don't even know where you begin to think about replacing that kind of player, impact player on that Pacers team. They don't have anybody else on the roster like Victor Oladipo.
Right.
They can do all the different things that he does in leading that team.
And one of the best guys in our league. I mean, you hate to see it happen to any of the guys, but he is one that we've all become really fond of. You look about his journey and what he's had to go through to get to this point and to have this happen. The other thing it makes me think, we had a conversation earlier with the Grizzlies. You know, does something like this trigger a decision for you to go out and make a move now to try to, you know, because the thing about an injury like that, the other thing that's really valuable is the opportunity for all those other guys to be on a team that has an expectation of winning. So that's the advantage for a Sabonis and Miles Turner, your young studs. Every night they take the floor, they're playing to win basketball games, not to prove how good they are.
Right.
Like some young teams are. And so if he's not able to come back, that does, to Sekou's point, like it's one thing to play when you know a guy's coming back. If potentially he's not coming back and you hit a rut where things aren't going well and you don't have that guy to fall back on, that could create a bit of a dilemma from an organizational standpoint.
Well, not to get ahead of ourselves, because again, we don't know what the injury is at this point, but it could mean more responsibility for Darren Collison, for Tyreek Evans, who's handled the ball a ton and over his career, and for Corey Joseph. But you would think if they have playoff aspirations, that probably means they're looking for somebody if he's out for any lengthy period of time.
Yeah, the trade deadline comes at an opportune time when something like this goes down. But again, I don't want to overdo it until we know what the injury is. But I will say this: when you have an Eastern Conference where Oladipo is one of those players who steps up on the pecking order in the East when LeBron goes, you know, to the Lakers. Now you're talking about replacing a guy who, maybe is one of the 6 or 7 best players in the East potentially. He's got to be on your short list of guys who would be in that mix. That is a tall task in terms of even finding somebody on the trade market even that could do the things for you on the fly that Victor Oladipo has done for you the last year and a half. You know, that you're not just replacing an all-star, you're replacing a guy who has quickly become the face and one of the foundations of that franchise.
Well, I'll try to get you updated when we hear something on the status of Victor Oladipo, who has been taken off the floor on a stretcher tonight in Indiana as the Pacers take on the Toronto Raptors. We'll pass along any updates we get as we continue here on Game Time Live.